Anyways, so Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our workshop on gut and glow and nourish your mind and elevate your mood. So I am a certified natural health practitioner. Minaam, Jamil, and my friend is Tahirah Tanwani. She is holistic nutrition consultant. So we're gonna start with this bulb light up. Do you guys know what it is? Any guesses? Gut and glow. Is it the gut or is it the brain? I'm just giving it up to you. The brain, yes. It's the brain, and we want it vibrant, flickering, lighten up, and not dull. So, how do we do that? Of course, the connections are working fine, the wires are working fine, and it's well connected with the circuit, and the electric current is flowing in. So, where do you think the brain really goes and connect with? This circuit. And the circuit is our gut. So whatever we put in the gut, it glows the brain. If we're putting right stuff, it's definitely gonna glow the brain. But if not, then it's gonna make us dull, brain fog, and things like that. So you imagine the wires as nerves, which are connecting the brain and the stomach, and this is the brain, which was our bulb, and it's connected with the vagal nerves to the stomach. So the circuit is definitely the stomach. And what do you think is a brain fog? Like, I'm sure, yeah.
Like when your brain gets foggy and you can't think properly, you can't do things properly.
Yeah. So your cognitive function goes down, and there are mental blockages, fatigues. There's no stamina to understand things like small senses. Your five senses, you cannot sense them too. Confusion, forgetfulness, lack of sleep. The causes are lack of sleep, stress, diet and nutrition has a big impact, lifestyle, deficiencies in vitamins, and hormonal changes. So what our brain does is it connects with the gut, and the gut is connected with the brain. So this is a kind of a bidirectional communication, and they're both are in communication. It's not one way, it's two ways. For example, let's take example. We say our gut talking to the brain. Now you feel the brain is the gut is empty, and it's gonna say, I'm hungry, I'm growling, I need food, and the brain senses it. It's not your gut, which, okay, you feel the growls and you feel emptiness, but then there is an enzyme which is released, ghrelin, and it goes and tells through the vagal nerves that I need something, feed me. So this is the gut talking to the brain. But why? How does the brain talk to the gut? So have you felt like butterflies?
Yeah.
You have to meet somebody special, and there is an anxiety moment. You have an examination, and then how do those come in? Because the brain's telling your gut, I need all the blood supply. I need all the power to think. I'm nervous right now. I have agitation. So give me all. So all the blood supply goes to the brain. And then your stomach, when it doesn't feel any sensation, it just feels butterflies. So everything is directed towards the brain, and then we feel emptiness in our stomach. So have you been in this kind of a situation where, somebody is scared, somebody can be scared of insects, but somebody can have real nervous issues, like boss issues, or things like an examination, or things really bothering you. So this is not just physical phenomena, it is really in deeply rooted with our emotions. Like if I ask you to imagine you're being chased by a grizzly, so you are not going to go and have dinner at that time. You're not going to go poo and pee. You're not going to do anything, but you're going to run for your life. You are on a high stake situation where your pupils will dilate. You're sweating and you're running for your life, right? Because this is the flight and fight mode. This is the sympathetic mode. And that's how your brain's directing you. Take care of yourself, like run for your life. So that's a biological response. And because of all the network, the sensory networks and the nerves and the changes in blood circulation, the oxygen goes into the brain. And that is one of our main a point we want to achieve, that oxygen should be going in the brain. So there are things like meditation, breathings, and other things, not through fight and flight mode, but through normal changes in lifestyle. And there are several herbs too which do that.
So oxygen to the brain is a good thing?
So I leave.
Oh, sorry. Oh, how did I go there? Tahirah, on your slides. Oxygen in brain is definitely a very good thing. A lot of people who have brain ischemia, it just means that they snore at night. Their brain is really trying to get oxygen, fresh oxygen from, and they're not getting it. And what our medical system does is that they put them on things like exactly. So that's a physical way of supplying blood to the brain. But there are so many things apart from this which you can do. And I think we're going to study it when we're going to do the herbs, and we will see how. So this is a simple nerve. This is one nerve connecting with another. And our brain, you can imagine as a bulgy, fatty tissue, like it's super juicy and it's very soft. And all it does, it's connected with the spinal cord, and then all the nerves go and connect with all the organs of the body. So this is how the brain connects with the other organs. Oh yeah, I think it's her. Can you look at her? Because I don't want to stop. Or should I stop? I don't know. Okay. She's from the Indigenous community. So, okay, let's wait. Hi. Elena? Yeah, come on in. How are you?
I'm good.
That's okay. Aliza, you can babysit. We have a babysitter. So you just missed the introduction, but we're just talking about the brain and the nerves. Okay. So yeah, these are the two nerves which are coming in contact. And how do they talk to each other? They just talk through chemical messengers. And these are like balls. So in medical terminologies, you just call them neurotransmitters. That's the word. And what happens is I'm just going to touch three main kind of neurotransmitters. So dopamine, serotonin, and GABA. The dopamine is with your motivation, and when you have to learn something, you're motivated, or your addictions to the screen, they tell you, I need more of this because I want dopamine. And serotonin is the happy hormone. So it's more linked to the mood, sleep, appetite, digestion. And if there's a lack of serotonin, then you will feel depressed, mood instability, emotional instability, anxiety, sleep disturbances. And then GABA is just linked with anxiety. So it regulates anxiety. Now, what we want is a good amount of these neurotransmitters to help regulate our moods, to help regulate the brain function, the cognitive function. And these are two kind of pictures. They're talking the same. So this is how our brain is constantly flickering. These neurotransmitters are going from one organ to another organ, and they're traveling in the nerves. And the more you learn new things, the more connections they make. You can imagine as roads, and these things, the gaps between them as signals. So the more roads you have, the more you can connect to different places, right? And that's what we want to achieve. So people who are polymaths or know more than one languages or know instruments, so they've memorized certain things like the Quran, they have a lot of sensory nerves. Like they have a lot of these signals, which they call clefts.
And having more of these is a good thing.
Yes, we need more of those. So connecting with nature and earthing and grounding, all of that helps us make our nerves. So this is something I want to tell you, that the pathways going. The clefts are there, but the pathways are protected by these myelin sheaths of the nerves, and the myelin sheaths are made by methylated B12. So the scientific name for B12 is cyanocobalamin. That's what most of the synthetic supplements they sell in Costco and elsewhere. What we want is methylated cyanocobalamin. Why? Because it's more available. It protects the nerves, and it helps that juicy, bulgy, fatty brain to help more connect with with the rest of the organs.
So more B12?
Yeah, more methylated B12, methylcyanocobalamin. So now I'm going to talk about the microbiome. Now, probiotics, as we said, they're such a big thing. Everybody's on it, but they don't know why. So how probiotics, they help the gut to connect with the brain. What they do is three kind of functions. Number one, they synthesize these neurotransmitters. So they synthesize these small balls which are connecting all the organs in the body and sending messages. Like, can you imagine probiotics are just simple bacteria, good bacteria, and they're synthesizing these dopamine, serotonin, GABA for us. So, number two is they kind of digest the proteins. The proteins convert into amino acids, and there are two main amino acids, tryptophan and serotonin. So, the tryptophan forms the happy neurotransmitter serotonin, and tyrosine forms the reward neurotransmitter dopamine. So you don't have to be addicted to screen, addicted to some kind of addictions to get your dopamine. It can be by through simple meat. Yeah, that's why people go on protein shakes. They get all these amino acids. Bone broth has all these amino acids.
A lot of chicken.
Yeah, free range chicken, organ meats. People do that. So, neuroinflammation is one thing which we do not want in our brain. We don't want our brain to be inflamed and in pain. These probiotics indirectly work in reducing that inflammation, which in medical terms we also call stress. So, they reduce stress too. And now I want to connect with the gut. So, a lot of people, they don't have good digestion, they lack enzymes, sometimes they have a leaky gut. And the leaky gut mainly looks like this. So it's porous, it's open to all kinds of bacteria, pathogens, food particles, maybe drugs, medications, whatever you're eating. It's just, this is the stomach, and this is the stomach lining, and then we have capillaries, blood capillaries. Everything is passing through because there's no regulation. It's damaged. This is the best thing. Like, we want all the gut lining cells to be in contact and direct. There should be no porosity, there should be no gap, they should be impacted, like, intestinal mucosa, it should have tight junctions. And this way, what happens, it regulates what needs to go in my blood, what needs to be kicked out from the poo. This is what we want to achieve. Right now, everything, toxins and pathogens and everything's going through, and what's happening? Diarrhea, bloating, gassy, memory loss, flare-ups, there are joint inflammations, arthritis, more sugar cravings because you're not getting nutrition. The nutrients are competing with pathogens and those particles which we don't want in our blood. Eczema, low energy, cognitive fatigue, memory loss, weakened immune system. So it's so necessary to work on the gut lining. Glutamine, bone broth, hyaluronic acid, all of these, they work on the gut lining. When the gut lining is healthy, our brain starts regulating what needs to go in, what needs to stay out. This is from my book. It's not published yet. So I had a couple of Crohn's patients which I treated, and if you know Crohn's patients, their gut lining is disrupted. So we were pushing them probiotics in the form of kimchi, kefir, pickles, sauerkraut, beet kvass, and that kind of kombucha kind of things. That's right. So we saw more flare-ups. We saw that was like, it's not, you cannot reconcile why. Then I understood and I made this protocol. It's my own made. I said we need to work on the gut lining first before we introduce probiotics. So we reduced inflammation by using herbs which lower histamines, because all the kefir, kombucha, pickles, all these edible probiotics, they're high in histamine. And histamine flare you up. Histamine gives you rashes. It can give you asthma. But now, exactly, yes, consuming high histaminic foods. Yeah, kimchi and all. Yes, they cannot. They have to take a probiotic. Yes. So yeah, because it's high in histamine. But those products, like they don't have histamine, they just have the probiotic in it. But if you consume it from foods, yeah, you have to tackle histamine. So you have to reduce the inflammation or the inflammatory markers by using these quercetin, butterbur, boswellia. This is from prophetic medicine, boswellia luban. Yeah, it's also called Indian frankincense. So it lowers the inflammatory mediators before we jump to things which soothe the, which mucous membrane. And then we work on the membrane, the intestine, we saw the membrane of the stomach. So, how do we work on that? There are different things. So, people do bone broth, glutamine, omega 3 fatty acids, EPA, DHA, marshmallow root. There are so many ways of doing it. It depends on what you're comfortable with. And the last step is introducing prebiotics and probiotics. So imagine like prebiotics as healthy bacteria. They want to grow, they want to have babies, and they grow. But imagine them, or a good analogy would be like comparing them with an insect. So insects, they need mud, they need grass, they need soil, water, something to grow and lay eggs on. If these bacteria are living on a broken, porous gut, they are not going to multiply. You're wasting your money. So probiotics always come with prebiotics. And prebiotics are simple things like asparagus, inulin, cruciferous vegetables. You if you just eat those, the bacteria, they start multiplying, the good bacteria. But if they don't have a home, if they don't have the fiber to multiply on, they're not going to multiply, and they will just, from defecation, they're going to go in your stool. So that's really important. That's why we see how the green drinks, they help with leaky gut. Now, what green things have? They have green drinks. They have chlorophyll. So chlorophyll tightens those junctions we saw in the gut membrane. Do you guys want me to show you, or you remember the junctions? They tighten them. They combine and chelate with toxins, dead cells, dead bacteria. They combine with it, and then they go take them out from our system through poop, and they act as a detoxifier. Then they prevent all the harmful substances which are damaging to the gut lining to move out of the gut lining. They support healthy microbiome because they act as a prebiotic. So they're acting as that grassy, fibrous material on which your bacteria will grow, repopulate, and replenish. Right? It doesn't make sense when you're just only having a prebiotic. It has to be with a probiotic, prebiotic, they come together. So I just jotted out some of the herbs which are brain boosting. Saffron, cinnamon, rosemary, thyme, turmeric. These are anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, and they help reduce inflammation in the brain. The I love pycnogenol. Pycnogenol comes from pine bark extracts. The pine tree here, you see, they don't die in even minus 50 or minus. Yeah, they have something special. Like they have these pycnogenol, which really activates the brain circulation, and they release nitric oxide in the brain, which dilates the blood vessels in the brain. So you've got a gush of blood flowing in the brain, which we want to improve our blood brain circulation so that oxygen can reach the brain. That maintains memory, focus, decision making, helps with mental fatigue, brain fog, like we saw, and it's crucial for children with ADHD. This really helps them. Then phosphatidylserine is another phospholipid. It's a fatty acid which comes from meat organs like chicken, heart, beef liver, things like that. Because our brain, as I said, is a bulgy, fatty, juicy material, and it wants those phospholipids to stay healthy in its, fatty environment. So this chemical, the phosphatidylserine, it can be taken from bone broth as well, and it maintains memory, brain memory. It helps with brain function. It reduces cortisol, that's the stress hormone. It supports the neurotransmission functions like serotonin, dopamine. and gut related mood disorders. So, females, you have to pay attention to this. Yes, and you can keep an eye out when the products you buy for brain should have this one. So, these are some lovely nutrients. Then, cod liver oil is another really amazing, comes from nature, boosts memory, learning, reduces neuroinflammation, enhances mood and focus, maintains neuroplasticity. Do you know what's neuroplasticity? Anybody? Yeah, can you?
What I remember is like basically the ability for your brain to like rewire, like as you're learning something, or let's say for patients who have like PTSD, for example, you kind of want to recover from that. So this will help because it kind of creates new connections, and your brain will start making like.
So remember the slide we saw where it was flickering and it was like more roads, more signals, more connections. So people who are polymaths or they know more than one language or they are able to do different kind of things, they have they're neuroplastic. And it's a myth that all people cannot achieve it. They can. They can. Yeah. And they saw scans. Dr. Daniel Layman, he did scans of people who were on ginkgo biloba, the ginkgo and ginseng panics. He saw their brains were super vibrant. Their connections of the prefrontal cortex, everything was so beautiful. Yeah, he said that I've never seen so many people who are aging, yet their brains are functioning so beautifully. So these two not medication, they're herbs, and they're called king of tonic herbs in Chinese medicine because they reduce inflammation. There was a study which was done in JAMA, that's the Journal of American Medical Association. They said these were able to help oldies from dementia and Alzheimer's. That's a big claim. Like they said, they were helping them. Not that they cured it, but they were helping them. So increased memory, cognitive function, blood flow, and they released more serotonin, dopamine, which we want. And the mechanism of action is simply by reducing the inflammatory markers, cytokinin, bradykinin, all of those. Yeah.
So ginseng tea,
Yes.
it's good.
It's very good.
Okay.
Very good. And Chinese people, they also use their root in soups and broths. And you see how young they are at very old age. Even they have, yeah, yeah, very gracefully, I would say.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And then vitamin B12 is involved in making the myelin sheath, the neuron, and we need the methylated one. And St. John's wort helps in creating more serotonin and dopamine. So this one helps with depression, especially the seasonal anxieties and the seasonal depressions. Then coenzyme Q10, it just helps your body to release that energy from mitochondria, or you can just say like the cells which produce energy, the ATP. So it helps to produce energy. Sometimes you really don't have energy. You don't have coenzyme Q10 to produce the energy. You might have the fats which convert into sugar and sugars convert into energy, but you don't have the proper, the whole. Yeah. So this was also helping people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. It was helping people, not treating them. And then ashwagandha is another Indian Ayurvedic herb, and this reduces cortisol levels, and that's the stress levels, but it increases male hormone, that's testosterone. So for females, be careful. You can consume ashwagandha for 2 months and then give a break for a month. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it can increase the male hormone like testosterone. So what we want is we don't want drug dependency too. So we leave it for a month and then continue again for 2 months and then leave it.
And that coenzyme Q10, is that like naturally occurring in food or?
Yeah, it does. I think it does occur in some of the fresh plants which you just pluck from your garden, like spinach. So spinach loses all of its vitamin C by the time it reaches supermarket.
That's crazy.
So
we can't, it's very hard for us to eat local and organic and close to the source anymore, right?
Exactly. So all of these you can consume in tea, in drinks, as a supplement, as sachets, and I think Tahira will talk more about this. She knows stuff. So this is probably my last. Okay. So coffee, matcha, and guarana. Caffeine is a brain stimulant. Okay. So if you want to study for exams, you need yeah, you guys got it at the right time. You had to focus. It will help you focus. But what happens with coffee? It gives you like a sudden focus, and then you start those jitters and a slump. So you're like, I don't have any more energy. I need another cup. It's addictive, right? But what matcha and guarana do, they both come from green tea, and this is Japanese. If coffee has 90 milligrams of caffeine, matcha has 75 milligrams. So they both act as a maintenance dose. They give you certain energy and it stays for longer period of time before you die and need another cup. So thanks to Tahira, she was the one who motivated me to having more matcha. And then when I switched to matcha, I think a month ago, I just have a cup in the morning and I don't feel like having another. But before, you don't have that dip, no jitters. But before, when I was on chai or chai latte or coffee, after an hour, I felt like need one more cup before I start doing the dishes or I have a consultation. I need that, caffeine. Yeah. So this is my last slide. If you guys want to book a consultation to know what your brain type is, or to know what kind of herbs or kitchen spices may optimize your brain function, then we can have one-to-one, like a personalized, customized protocol. Yeah.
Brain type,
Yeah. There are different brain types.
Okay.
Like some people, you already know ADD, ADHD. These terms are so fancy now. But there are brain types like 1, 2, 3. 1 is the highest functioning, going all the way till 8. And 8 can be, they can go in negative loops. They need different kind of motivations. Like they get their dopamine from different kind of things. Yeah. So different kind. I got that from Daniel Amen, but he is, I think he's expensive. But I do this really cheap. I don't charge a lot.
That's new to me as well. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, like we hear about all the conditions, but it's interesting to view it as like a type of brain idea.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of things on different people, and sometimes they just kick in with simple St. John words, combine it with tyrosine because tyrosine releases serotonin, and they don't need Prozac. They don't need antidepressant anymore because antidepressant comes with a side effect of suicide. So why do you want to go there? Just, do holistic things.
And it damages the good.
Yeah, and then you need another drug to hamper the acidity, protopranazole or something. So why is it so easily acceptable a drug which comes with a list of side effects rather than going to these simple things which are available? Yeah. So I think next slide, Tahira is going to talk and on nutrition and lifestyle because she is a holistic nutrition consultant. Off to you, Tahira. Sorry, I have to do this.
Okay. Oh. So incredible information that we got from Minaam here. Thank you so much. But how are you going to take that information, take it home, and apply it to your daily, right? So that's what I'm going to share with you today. First of all, let's differentiate mental illness and mental health and wellness, right? First, like mental health is your overall emotion. It's something that we experience on a daily, whereas mental illness refers to a diagnosed mental health disorder that significantly affects a person's thoughts, emotions, behavior, or function on a daily life. So, for example, if you have poor mental health without having a mental illness, for example, you might be extremely stressed one day or overwhelmed, but you won't meet the criteria of having a disorder. Whereas in mental illness, likewise, someone with a mental illness can still experience good mental health. We have good and we have bad days, right? If their symptoms are well managed, they may function well. But then, however, if they are not managed, right, there will be a discrepancy in their life. And an easy analogy would be weather. For example, weather, your mental health is like weather. We have sunshine, we have rain, we have on a daily, right? Whereas mental illness is like a chronic weather pattern. Tornado, hurricane, right? Things that you have to obviously manage. And it's reoccurring, these patterns. Yeah, so that's a little bit about that. Now, key traits. Well, now let's talk about key traits of good mental health, right? That's so some traits that show that you are healthy would be you're able to manage your emotions. You're able to make that shift. You're making changes from one emotion to another, and you're able to cope with that. And you're able to maintain relationships and connections, your relationships with your spouse, your children, your friends, your coworkers, and you feel a sense of purpose and meaning. And you're able to cope with day-to-day challenges, whether that's in your home or at your workplace. You're able to find those solutions and bounce back to adversity, right? So when you fall, you're able to pick yourself up again. And if you're able to do any of these, what I've listed, then give yourself a pat on the back right now, because you're doing amazing. Any of these, even just one of them, you feel like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Give yourself a pat on the back, because that's amazing. And some traits of mental illness, some signs that we're not doing so well. Could be, well, first of all, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to seek help as well. That's why we're here, right? So in this situation, your symptoms are going to be more intense. They're going to be persistent, right? To the point that it's going to interfere with your daily life. Often needs professional support and guidelines. So that's just any questions regarding like the difference between the two?
Is panic attack a mental illness or is normal?
It depends if it's like a reoccurring pattern, right? Then we would have to intervene with some additional support. Now let's talk about like what you can add, because in holistic nutrition, sorry, Minaam, I'm just gonna ask you to give me my bottle of water. Yeah.
What kind of food?
Yeah, we're gonna dive into nutrition right now. I know Minaam mentioned some herbs, but how about what we're eating on a daily, right? Talking about meals, right? This is gonna help you plan some meals more gut-friendly, supporting your mental health as well. And so like I was saying, in holistic nutrition, we focus more on what we can add rather than what we can eliminate. I know when people think about getting healthier, they're like, okay, what can I take out of my diet? But no, let's focus on what we can add because you want to be able to nourish your body with the right right foods before you start cutting things out. So for example, more fiber-rich foods. Now, I know Minaam mentioned the importance of fiber, right? Fiber is going to give you, you can get it from the prebiotics, right? And the fiber needs, your gut bacteria needs the fiber, right? To support a healthy microbiome that produces those neurotransmitters that Minaam mentioned, the serotonin. Minaam, can you grab the...
What about prebiotic yogurt? I had E. coli. I'm not one case in Alberta, like from the Children's Hospital. I'm one of the surviving remaining cases that happened. I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I had a long historical happening to recover and do my gut, right? And it took a lot of, and so what would you say about yogurt and cauliflower?
Yeah, so I would focus more on before we get into prebiotic, like in probiotics, like in terms from yogurt. I would focus more on fruits and veggies first. You're looking at about 30 servings a week at least of fruits and veggies, and a variety of them. Right, that would be amazing. And some sources we have for more fiber-rich foods is oats, legumes, right? Asparagus, garlic, onions, leek, bananas, and apples. But then again, I mean, it's not like you have to only eat these foods. You have to listen to your body too, because some people have more. Some people have, are sensitive to, have acidity or something like that, right? And if you have sensitivity to oats in the morning, right, there's always other options. And then secondly, to balance your omega-3 fatty acids. Why omega-3? Because that reduces inflammation and supports brain health, right? Omega-3, like, from fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, flax seeds, and chia seeds, and walnuts. So flax seeds and chia seeds would be your plant-based. Because salmon can be tricky because you want to be grabbing salmon that is fresh, wild, and not farm. And then we have hydration. I know hydration is a hot topic, but when you're dehydrated, it affects your digestion and brain performance. So you might feel like if you're feeling like, you're feeling like you're getting that brain fog and all that, right? Like, head to the water. If that's like the only thing you have around you right now, just drink a glass of water and you can feel that, your brain is starting to function again, because that's a sign of dehydration. And tip for drinking water is throughout the day and consider herbal teas. So we think of water immediately, but there are also other sources of foods that hydrate your body, right? We have ginger, we have peppermint, dandelion, chamomile. These are all really great for supporting your gut and keeping your body hydrated, not dehydrated. So, you can have that as your evening, before bed, right? That's going to soothe your digestion before your body goes into rest. And then, Minaam mentioned fermented foods. So they're rich in probiotics, and that improves gut health and influences your brain function. For example, like you had mentioned, yogurt, but it should be with live cultures. You have those good bacteria in there to feed your gut. And then there's kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, tempeh, and kombucha. Then again, we mentioned earlier that this may not be effective for everybody, because we all have different body types. So that's when you want to maybe contact somebody like Minaam, and she can help you with your body type and brain type.
Because like I said, if the intestines are porous, it's gonna flare you up. Their high is gonna.
Yeah, so if you're somebody who has a skin condition like rosacea or eczema, that those probiotic foods are not going to be beneficial for you. It's just you're just going to flare up even more. So you can, in that case, you can consider a probiotic supplement that's going to reduce that inflammation in your body and help with your skin condition as well. So I am actually an independent consultant and area manager with a health and wellness company called Arbonne. And we actually have some really effective supplements that support your gut and brain. And so we have the prebiotics, probiotics, right? These are some supplements you want to, if you feel like you need that additional support to fill those nutrition gaps, right? Because with such a busy lifestyle, how can you keep a track of how many fruits and veggies you're eating, or if you're traveling and all of that, right? So just having that in hand in your pantry, rather than having other medications and drugs, right? It's great to just have these on hand so you can continue to support your gut and brain and also prevent any deficiencies. And so those are things that you can add, right? And now we're going to go into what you can limit. Sugar and processed foods, yes, we know that, right? But I'm saying limiting, not eliminating, because we're going to try our best, right? These sugars are hidden in everything, from food to skincare to personal care. Sugars and preservatives are there, but we're going to try our best, and we're not going to stress too much about it, because when you start stressing about your how you're taking care of yourself as well, that's going to give you a cortisol increase, which is going to increase the inflammation in your body, right? Yeah. So we're going to limit it, right? Why? Because sugar disrupts the gut microbiota and contributes to inflammation, mood swings, and brain fog. Now you might feel like, okay, that candy, yeah, it's so good, or that chocolate bar, but probably, yeah, it's good temporarily, but maybe after next couple of days, it's going to affect your mood. For sure, you're going to get mood swings. So the action is to limit sugary snacks and sodas and ultra-processed foods. You can make clean swaps for all of that.
Sugar is addictive.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It increases dopamine.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of reward, and then you want it more
Yes.
to release the dopamine.
Right.
But we want our dopamine to be released from healthy foods.
Mm-hmm.
So we limit the sugar. Yeah, sorry, Tahirah.
Yeah, so there are other sources of like you could get that same, I think, dopamine from natural natural means, or if you're really craving a sweet treat or whatever, opt to the plant-based proteins or like dates or raw sugars. Yeah, 85% cocoa. That is a incredible mood booster. I have actually a treat for you made from after this. And then what we can eliminate. Let's talk about what we can eliminate. Okay, and these you'll see it's not like too much food. It's more related to your lifestyle, which is small changes that you can make on a daily. For example, the perfumes that you choose, the scents, right? The personal care products that have parabens, talc, lead, right? In makeup, your mascara, your eyeliners, and other harmful ingredients in personal care products. And then when it comes to food, there's the artificial colors, dyes, flavors, fragrances, even in your lipsticks and your blush. All of that can include that. And the plastic food containers and non-stick coated pans and utensils, because those release those forever chemicals, which, the free radicals. And cleaning products as well. Scented candles. I know they are lovely and they are everywhere and they smell so refreshing, but they also contain those chemicals that are going to that's going to disrupt your hormones so on and so forth, as well as air refresheners. So you have your
like say you kind of go through and clean up your home, but if you're going out, pretty much any place has something like your
the mall,
the mall,
Bath
wherever you're
Body
going.
Works, yeah.
Or like kind of anywhere you're going, right? You're kind of getting exposed back to scent that people have on or soap that you have. Like, kind of, you just kind of do what you can.
So what you're going to do is support your body's detoxification process, because your body goes in a detox every single day. That's the role of the liver. So if you support the liver, whatever you're inhaling and outside, if you're taking care of yourself in your own home, it's going to, yeah. So I mean, subhanAllah, that's just the way, amazing how our body works like that.
Because even cancer cells, they get multiplied, but then our body recognizes them and then, switches them off right there.
Right.
So it's
As long
it's
as
a
your detox
natural
is
whole
functional.
system is in a natural way that's a naturally detoxifying coping. It has so many coping mechanisms that it knows that it has to live what mechanisms it can turn on and off. And we're just here to facilitate who needs to turn and so.
How do you know if your detox system is not working? Or like,
Oh, there are too many ways of doing that. So your number one could be like your sweat can be way smelly. Then you have plugged ears and plugged seasonal flus are quite often, and constipation. If you're constipated, everything is storing in, not going out. So we can talk about that. Yeah, we can probably do a workshop on
Yeah,
that.
that would be a whole different, yeah. And I'm going to wrap up with some habits and lifestyles changes, because it's not just what we eat, what we put inside our bodies and on our bodies, but it's also our activity on a daily. So movement, yes, if you want to get healthy, if going to the gym makes you happy, do it. So the main thing is choosing a movement that brings joy. So that way you're supporting those cortisol levels. It's not bringing more stress into your body. And about 30 to 45 minutes a day is better than going like 2 to 3 hours in a week. If you can be more consistent with that. Those small little steps, that's what's going to compound over time. Those small changes that you make on a daily. And then having a relaxed mind through prayer, meditation, things that bring you peace. You can also look into morning mantras, affirmations, and purifying the soul. Sleep and wake up around the same time, right? Our bodies thrive on a routine. I know you must have heard this a million times, but it's the truth. And if you start doing that, you'll really notice, you having more control of your health and your routine on a daily. And then letting go. So letting go of people, whether that's online or offline. So I know we're constantly surrounded by social media and television and all the propaganda and what may be going on. Try to limit that, and if you do get consumed to it, let it go. If it starts triggering some anxiety, frustration, you have to learn to let it go too. And reading, writing over mindless scrolling. So if you have some free time in the day, you can, instead of doing the TikTok and Instagram scroll death of whatever, right? You're choosing things like reading more, whether that's improving your spiritual, whether it's spiritual growth, personal growth, whatever. Or if you're just so frustrated, you've had the worst day of your life, if you just write it out, it's going to get out of your system. And also checking for ingredients and reading labels. So when you're reading labels on any products, whether it's your supplements or your makeup or your lotion, day-to-day lotion, right? You want to avoid refined oils, right? The ingredients should be as simple as possible. You should be able to pronounce the ingredients, right? Because if you're not, and if you see things like E9 numbers like that, E6, right? That is artificial coloring that they've added into the products to make it more vibrant and visually appealing. So that's just an example of how to check and read labels, and avoid using the use of antibiotics unless necessary. Because antibiotics, what it does is it doesn't only kill the bacteria, but also your gut. So you're totally wiping out your whole gut microbiome. And then, I mean, if you happen to have to take antibiotics, right, it's prescribed to you, I would highly recommend going on a gut health reset again, improving your gut health again, all over again. And last but not least, connect with the community. Community is longevity, honestly. You cannot do it on your own, right? And having a uplifting community, right, is really going to affect the way you think, the way you feel about yourself and everybody.
Thank you, Minaam. She is here from the Indigenous community.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a great pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's an honor. I actually did bring my modeling portfolio, and I worked with Chan International from West Edmonton Mall, and I do live in Calgary. And like I was saying, I am a survivor of having E. coli and being pregnant with my daughter. And this young baby here made it. She and I, endured E. coli while she was pregnant with me, and the recovery process of having E. coli. Not too many people know about how gut health is so important in recovery of having E. coli. I had to do that research on my own at home. I didn't know that there was actually wellness experts out there that knew about this knowledge. One day I'm studying, I said, I know I'm not depressed because of this, for no reason.
Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't having anxiety and mental health issues for no reason. And I said, because ever since I felt the E. coli, I was puking, I was nonstop puking. But what kept me going was the research. And I said to my doctor, I know something's not right. So she gave me sertraline, which is a serotonin booster, and I started feeling a lot better. But had I known about I did know some natural products like eating healthier, and I noticed my gut was starting to improve. But the pain, there's so much pain when it comes to recovery of the gut. And, a lot of people, they seep into depression and they go and the mind over the matter. But it's so important to eat and regulate having that healthy diet, because it did save me over the medication. I prefer not really to be on this medication. I prefer to eat more healthier. I now notice improvement in myself to be able to help other in my community, because not too many people know about postpartum depression, why we get that in pregnancy. Because of our gut having, just having a baby, our gut's going through a lot of stuff, and so having to experience the E. coli, I was wondering, well, what's going on to me? But I went through it, and I can say there's so much light on the other side of the darkness that I overcame that depression of postpartum. And every day now I'm thankful, to my own God and my own creator that, keeping me alive and keeping me to see, able to see the reality of having to change my health. Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
How did you push through those tummy aches and just like when you're feeling like?
Well, yeah.
Like,
Well,
focus on, you were saying, just kind of
the inner strength and going for walks and connecting with Mother Nature, like you were saying, spiritually, I reconnected with Mother Nature again.
So were you on any antibiotics for E. coli?
So they told me I should have been, but I do recall being on a different IV medication. Oh, it was such a bad time of my
And then
life.
how did you come back to?
A lot of bananas.
Oh, okay.
A lot of bananas. That's why I was shocked to see bananas on there. And a lot of potassium building foods.
The bananas are rich in potassium too.
Yeah. And so they had told me that I needed a lot more potassium, and they were pumping me in the hospital with potassium. But when I left, they told me you need to change your diet, because if you don't change your diet now, your mood, they had warned me about it. I'm going to go into depression more if I don't change the diet. So I had to fight through the anxiety. They call it perinatal anxiety. So I had to fight through perinatal anxiety, then the postpartum depression. It was not a good feeling. That was a really rough pregnancy, and I'm so thankful my daughter's here. This is Robelina, and she's 16 months old, and I'm very thankful because, to see even her eating lettuce, I'm like, dang, like you're eating healthy with me, and so it's helping. Like, I try to lead my kids in such a good way of traditional way of living that now that my diet's had to change, they understand why. And they understand because my 5-year-old seen me having to go in the ambulance. And I didn't want her to see that, but she had to see me overcome that challenge.
I'm really sorry you had to go through all of that.
Thank you for having me.
But we are so grateful that you're here. So I'm gonna give the mic back to you.
Small advice. You have very rich nature, no, and you have a herb called Artemisia. This is magic for E. coli, for all the gut tissue. Your ancestors know about this and they use it, and it's all over your mountains. Search for it and help your community. It's like magic. You don't need to go to hospital. You don't need to take medication. It's like holistic healing for the gut, for the skin, for even the mental health.
What's the
Search
name
it.
if you
Artemisia.
you can write it AR?
AR
Artemisia. That's a word.
MIZ. I'll show
Minaam,
you the-
time kya hua?
You might see
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay. They're gonna kick us out edit for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to wrap up at around 20 minutes. You just have to write it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Spencer.
Oh yeah, just a little bit more before we end here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my story and how it takes 30 days to create a new habit and break an old one, right? Because we get all pumped, we get inspired, we get motivated. When we see reel or when we get into January 1st of a new year, right? But how do we make sure that we are consistent with our habits and how it's going to compound throughout our life? And the number one key is starting everything for 30 days. Just like the way we have our habits when we start them during Ramadan, right? As soon as we get into Ramadan, we're all pumped. We're like, I'm going to make get all my prayers done, this and that. And then how do we keep that motivation? Is by sticking to those habits for at least 30 days. So that's why I offer my clients a 30-day to gut health program, right? Which is designed to help develop sustainable, healthy habits which you can take with you throughout your life. And the focus is first nutrition, then digestion, energy, and overall well-being. So I'm just gonna briefly go through the key components of this program. If you feel like this is something that you could do, I am happy to answer more questions if you have any. My DMs are always open. My phone number is also available there on the registration form, or we can chat after this. But number one would be having a clean eating plan. So whole foods. Number one, whole foods. I know a lot of people come to me and they're like, okay, what can I take to make myself feel better? I was like, no, first we have to focus on whole foods. So week one is eliminating dairy, gluten, soy, refined sugar, artificial additives, right? And focusing more on ways you can replace. Like if you're a snacker, you're snacking more on whole foods rather than what you're grabbing in the pantry or a vending machine. Clean eating, unprocessed foods, right? And notice that we're not cutting carbs. We're not only eating one food group, and we're not counting calories in this, right? In fact, we're adding more whole foods. Like I mentioned, at least 30 servings of fruits and veggies in a week. And it's not, so that way it's not a fad diet, it's a lifestyle change. Because as soon as you start adding more whole foods into your diet, your body is going to crave that more. Your body's going to love those dark leafy greens. So just a quick little background here. So I'm actually a mom of 3 boys. My son is 11, 8, and now 10-month-old. So I am 10 months postpartum right now. And so after I had my second son, I noticed a decline in basically my lifestyle, just adjusting to busy mom life with already 2 kids. And my husband was working full time. So it was mainly just me at home, and I was not doing a single thing for myself. I felt it was just total slump there in my life. But I got a wake-up call from my physician, with my blood sugar going up, and I was only 35. I was like, what? I'm only 35. Why is this all happening to me? I had no idea about postpartum. I didn't even know what postpartum was, or postpartum depression. I just thought, I'm a mom. I have to take care of my kids. That's my role. Yes. Thank you. So I came across this 30 Days to Healthy Living program just on Facebook, right? Facebook is such a great source of, meeting people as well as discovering new things. So I discovered this healthy living program, and I started, first of all, with making those little clean swaps that I mentioned earlier. Your oils, your sugars, and just having perfumes, and just having more of a balanced meal, and not stressing about it. That's the main thing. So that's my little before afters you have there. That leads me to the next key component, being gut health support. No, I had no idea what gut health was, or how it could even affect the way I was talking or reacting or raising my children. I had no idea that could actually affect it. So number one thing was mood, right? I was more irritable. And so when I started taking probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes, which are what help break down your food as well, right? It helps things move, and fiber to promote the healthy microbiome. That's when I started noticing a change in my mood. My inflammation reduced. So within 1 week, I dropped about 8 pounds. Yeah, and that means that was mainly obviously water retention and inflammation there, just build up. And then balancing your blood sugar and energy levels, right? That's another key component that we focus on, with lean protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs to avoid energy crashes. So instead of reaching for the coffee and the black tea that I was doing multiple times a day, we're focusing more on foods that are going to give you that energy and sustain it throughout the day, so you're not having to have that slump. And then next would be these supplements to, like I mentioned, filling those nutrition gaps that you may be having and preventing deficiencies. And last but not least, the beauty of this, our gut health program, honestly, when I did it, there were about 700 other people in this single Facebook group that was doing it with me. And that's the beauty of it, having that healthy living community with people who have the same similar health goals, I guess, just wanting to get healthier and keeping each other accountable. So when I noticed a difference in myself, that's when I was like, okay, I need to help other busy moms with this. I need to support them with their health journey as well. And make them realize that this is not the life that they need to live, and they deserve more, honestly. And then that's when I started creating these accountability groups, so that I have them monthly. So it's either through a group chat on Instagram, sometimes I do them, or on WhatsApp or something like that. And I do it myself. I've been keeping these healthy habits for the past 4 years, and I also bring other people along with me. So I have a couple of client testimonials. You can see just there's the reducing bloat. That's number one sign, right? When you're bloating, you're feeling the pain, as she mentioned. When that chronic pain is there, then you know that there's something really, really troubling your gut. And then this is with the essential meal protein. We can go around, and while we're snacking, I can tell you a little bit about that. And it's just an example of a client of mine who had rosacea. And she used our green drink, which has the chlorine in it, the chlorophyll in it that Minaam had mentioned, paired with plant-based skincare. And this is just a little video about my journey. Oh, sorry. So I just pulled it from Instagram, so excuse the audio. So that's within 2 weeks. You can notice the skin is a little bit clearer. Yeah. And then within 8 months, right, you can see that the weight just dropping. And then the main thing is I felt like this was the most natural weight loss. Like I could have gone to the gym, gone to a personal trainer and this and all that, but I feel like I would probably bounce back. And then when you start caring for yourself, then you start caring for others too. So my husband, my children, they notice these changes, and now those healthy habits, they compound over time. And your children see that too. They notice it. They notice that, okay, yeah, mom is not that angry anymore. She's not getting irritated. Why is she not yelling at me because I'm not cleaning my room? Those little things. And it started with this green drink, and I thought it was like the most grossest. Like when I saw it, I was like, okay, but if I can have spinach, if I can have kale, why can I not have this one drink that I can just drink in the morning? And I still I had it this morning too, and my husband has it as well, and it makes you feel good that you've at least done one thing for your health in that day. Yeah.
And this one has coenzyme Q10 and panic ginseng, which we were talking about. So yeah, with a little caffeine coming from tea, so not coffee.
This is like green drink. It comes
I think this is for
Yeah. So I really appreciate you guys were so attentive, to both of us, honestly. So let's rehydrate. Let's fuel our body. I'm gonna make this quick drink for you, actually. so you can have a try. You can see how easy it is. Because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to get healthy, but then you get overwhelmed, right? So I'm going to show you these simple little healthy habits that you can incorporate in your busy lifestyle, even if it's just one simple drink in the morning.
Yeah, I think the green gut glow shot. Sorry, can you explain this?
Yeah, so I'm just going to make that. And while I make it, I'm just going to explain it.
Okay.
So what we have here, first off, I like to take 1 scoop of the BeWell Superfood Greens. This is going to be your 36 fruits and veggies. And as I mentioned, you want at least 30 servings of fruits and veggies, right? But if you're running out of groceries or or like, you've not picked up enough, right? And they are getting expensive, right? You can lean on something like a greens powder. I know they're everywhere. You can find them in Costco, right? And everywhere. This is from Arbonne, and the beautiful thing about Arbonne is that they are safe from over 2,000 harmful ingredients in your products. So whether it's nutrition, skincare, makeup, we are purely plant-based. We're halal certified, kosher, cruelty-free, vegan. And
It's on the European standards. So Canada basically bans 600 products which are toxic, and US bans 11.
yep,
But
just
they ban
11.
2,000 ingredients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So simple thing, like if you find, like you won't find Skittles and Lay's and all that in Europe, I don't think, as I heard,
And
because those are
their
filled with,
flour
yeah.
has, B12 too. Hard flour. That's why when you go to France, you don't get flare-ups after eating bakery food, like croissants there.
Yeah, so I'm going to take 1 scoop here. I'm going to have you guys try it. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you it's going to be one of the most best tasting greens you've ever had. Let's see what's in here. There is the inulin, the prebiotics, right? There is the chlorophyll. There is quinoa, carrots, banana. So all like a whole rainbow of fruits and veggies in here, 36. And then I put a scoop of that, and then I'm going to go in with my pro and prebiotics with digestive enzymes. So if you're just grabbing probiotics, there could be a high chance that it's not even actually reaching your gut lining because of your stomach acid. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So
Need to be refrigerated, and some don't.
exactly. So this one doesn't, because at the end of the day, they're bacteria, right? So I think in heat, so you can't warm it. You can't put probiotics in a tea, and then you can't. So I think they die, right?
The
Based on
enzymes in the honey. If you put honey in hot tea, the enzymes will denature and they won't have the same effect. There's always advice that you put honey in warm tea, not the boiling temperature. And some of the bacteria, they're viable, even though they're a sachet, but then when they reach the favorable conditions, they're gonna multiply.
Oh, okay. So that's why they're not refrigerated.
But I think the syrup ones are the ones which are already in with the fluid. They would be refrigerated so that they don't die, because they don't have prebiotics. They don't have those, the proper conditions they need to repopulate and be further.
yeah. However, in this little sachet, we have the probiotics and the prebiotics and the digestive enzymes in there. So the prebiotics and the enzymes are keeping those probiotics active. You can take it in your purse, on the airplane, when you're traveling, because you get bloating when you're traveling on the plane, right?
You're making this, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Which drink is this one?
This is the Green Gut Glow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think she put a scoop of.
I put a scoop of the greens, and then and I've got these little shot glasses here that you can have a taste and see how you feel. And then last but not least, I'm going to put the collagen support. So this has hyaluronic acid and biotin in it. Collagen is such a hot topic. You have it everywhere on Amazon and Instagram, on bone broth, right? So I mean, I don't I don't recommend stopping bone broth. Obviously, you want to consume as much diverse whole foods as you can, but this has that hyaluronic acid and biotin in it, so it's going to help with your skin, hair, nails, and joints. So what I love about this is having that joint mobility, especially in extreme temperatures that we live in the winter, where you are going to get those knee pains, heels, and also it prevents injuries as well. So it's creating that elasticity in your joints as well as your skin. So you're going to have more plump, fuller skin, youthful looking skin,
Lubricated joints.
lubricated joints.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
So when you're just having the greens and the gut health, it's not really going to taste like anything. It's probably going to be kind of earthy. But I like to add the collagen in there for morning, and especially if you're over 25, your collagen supplement, your collagen decreases by 1% every year, right? And it has a nice berry flavor. So I'm going to let you try that first.
Okay, so you mix them all three up. I actually didn't know this. I learned something today.
Yeah, and these are supplements that you can mix together. And then I'm just adding some plain water. That's going to be hydrating for me in the morning versus grabbing, the coffee that's actually going to dehydrate my body even more.
Boba drinks. Boba
Yeah.
drinks are full of sugar.
Nice.
Tapioca
Yeah,
sugar.
we should dehydrate
Yeah.
with coffee.
It's gonna
Yeah.
dehydrate, exactly.
It's going
And
to
coffee
increase.
actually shrinks the blood vessels in the brain, so the oxygen doesn't go to the brain. You need more and more to.
Oh, shoot. Just 1 minute. Somebody's going to come knocking at the door.
Oh, is it 4:30 already? I'm sorry.
You can start giving them some
Yeah, this
snacks.
Oh, I don't think so. It's 4:28.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Usually they're pretty
Or you
nice
can
on
take it
Sunday.
home.
So I'm just giving it a shake, right? And I could grab any other greens or protein or whatever in the market, but it's not going to give me those clean ingredients that are actually going to benefit my.
Where do you purchase this stuff?
I'm actually an independent consultant with this company, so I have a website, and yeah.
Okay. Because yeah, my husband, he's bloated in his guts and talking about how he is uncomfortable.
So I'm gonna have you try this first. Tell me how you feel, and then if you're not loving it, we're gonna make a quick adjustment. Not too bad, right? It's not like it's not like dirt, right? No. That's true. If you can drink alcohol, you can drink it, right? I don't know why some people yeah.
It's not good.
No, I'm
But it's not about.
Did you want to try this? Yeah, you're okay?
Or we can sell.
How did you feel with that?
I feel like I'm eating like a watered down salad.
Salad, right? Yeah. It is your fruits and veggies.
It's like 6 minutes.
Now what I'm going to do for our caffeine lovers,
Oh yeah.
suppose you need you need some caffeine in the morning, you're rushing to work, or you can literally just take this to work and have it during your break or before you start work. This is going to be your coffee and tea replacement. It has green tea and guarana in it with the B vitamins and the chromium that Minaam mentioned, right? This is in a mango peach flavor. There's blackberry, there's blood orange. Our flavors, they change over time. Sometimes we have strawberry. And what I'm going to do is that same greens that I gave you, I'm going to add the energy fizz stick to it.
Oh, and the same thing.
Yep.
Oh, I thought that would be like a warm drink.
That could be, but if you have it iced, chilled, it's like the best drink for the summer and spring. That's going to be your pop and energy, whatever replacement.
This is made by Tahirah. I don't know the ingredients. Tahirah.
Those are protein bars. So I took this vanilla protein itself. So if you don't love to have shakes or you can't have it every single day, the beauty of our protein shake is that you can bake with it. It's so smooth. So I haven't baked this, but I've mixed peanut butter, honey, so it's not nut free. I've peanut butter, honey, this vanilla, and almond flour, and then I've topped it with dark chocolate. So you can reach for a snack like this. You can make this once a week and take it to work, give it to your kids. Kids love it. My sons, they love it. As like a chocolate bar replacement, right? And you're getting those 25 grams of protein in there, probably more because there's almond milk and almond flour.
Like tryptophan and tyrosine, they convert to serotonin and dopamine. So the amino acids, they are in there. So from the proteins, they turn into amino acids and then into neurotransmitters, which are the happy neurotransmitters and motivating neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin.
So now I've added that fizz in there. So you can imagine whatever that you add into here. You could even just have the greens with a fresh orange juice if you like. Yeah, sure. This is with the mango peach.
Okay.
So then it just ends up tasting like a mango peach juice. And this is like I love calling it like mom's morning mocktail.
It's better than ginger ale and Canada Dry and those sugary carbonated things. Yeah.
I would obviously, I would want it a little bit more chilled, but as the room was a bit warm, but imagine that with some ice in the morning.
I need this drink energy, so I'll be in contact. Because I drink a lot of cola.
Cola, right?
And bad for me.
Yeah.
Pop.
Oh no.
That's so bad.
Yeah. Pops are the worst you can do.
I'm going to send you home with a sample stick. You can go home, try it with some ice and some cold water and see how you feel. You're going to love it. And then you're in touch with her, right?
Yeah.
And then, if you love it.
Okay.
How did you feel with the mango peach? Yeah. So then if you add blackberry or blood orange, then it's going to taste like that. And that way you can also, you're getting your probiotics, you're getting your prebiotics, you're getting your collagen all in one.
And I think this has the ginseng.
Yes, the energy fizz sticks. So you can have it on its own with just water. And in the winter, I love the blood orange hot because then it's like an orange. It's like an orange. Yeah, it's like an orange pekoe tea.
Oh, wow.
Because it has that green tea in there.
It's in John Ward. But it's just for me. I'm gonna try it because I want to sample too. But then, because I think this works for the depression part, and you can get supplements. So you can take home if you want. This is not from Arbonne, but it's something what I do. Like, increase my.
Yeah, there's so many things out there that you can. I mean, we have over 400 products on my website if you were to check it out, ranging from skincare, makeup, nutrition, all what we call B Corp certified.
Yeah.
And you can see all the certifications at the back: halal, kosher, vegan.
There's the thing with herbs is like they come into action after 12 weeks. So you have to be on them for 3 months at least to see the results. They don't work like medications. Medications are like synthetic chemicals. They go and target the receptors and they work. That's why they have side effects. But these things, they're made in a way, they're made by a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Chenda Cook, and then she has combined those things together like saffron and ashwagandha. Like how
Yeah, she's the designer of the 30 Days to Healthy Living program. Yeah. You can find more information on the website
so
for that
how they
too.
come together, I think we don't have that right now.
The inner calm?
Inner calm.
Yeah, no,
The inner
finished, yeah.
calm, which calms your brain, has ashwagandha with saffron.
She gifted it. She gifted it to our.
Separate packages of every other thing. You can just buy one, and they have everything in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and all these products are third-party clinically tested from manufacturing to entering like Canada through Health Canada, but Health Canada honestly is not as strict as the B Corp certification.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for example, like skincare, right? We have our anti-aging line, right? It has avocado oil in it. Same with this. Our protein does not have refined oils, doesn't have canola.
It's expensive.
It's the
Avocado
only,
oil you buy separately. You know the price.
yeah, it's the only one in the market with avocado oil that's going to give you that
Because I was looking
omega-3s.
at protein shakes and I saw that Arbonne has tons of things in it, like flax oil and seeds. And I was doing my own seed cycling for menstruation, and then I found other products, like I don't want to name them, but they had 3 or 4 maximum proteins in them. So I was like, okay, that makes sense now. You have so many variety of things. That's why it's probably yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all. Thank you so much for all your attention. I hope you were able to benefit from this workshop. Yeah. Yeah, same with
Idea about the prices.
the prices. Sure. So we have different programs. I'm just going to whip out the. So when you go on the website, you're going to see the retail price. However, we have like the preferred client program. It's basically like a savings club, like the way you would have it at Costco, right? You're going to get 20 to 30% off each order, right? So for example, if I'm shopping as a preferred client, I'm getting this 1,000-gram bag for $85. Okay, but $85, but if you divide that into 30 days, 30 servings, how much are you spending per shake? Probably $2 or $3, right? Versus a smoothie that you would grab at Jugo Juice or Booster Juice or anything like that. So it's always perception when it comes to price. How much are you willing to invest in your health, and what your budget is like. I'm also there to customize bundles. For example, I have 3 bundles on that screen over there, which we offer, and we have multiple bundles on the website as well, catering to